Sweet. Are there any students here? All right, awesome. I didn't think there'd be that many. Any academia? Anyone that works in a school, professors, advisors, adjuncts. Adjuncts count, sure, in my book. Um, Sports staff, yeah, absolutely. I play lacrosse, I like sports. Um, all right, cool. So today, our goal, so I gave this talk at DEF CON with a guy named Ted. We did a lot of this work together, so he couldn't make it here, so I'm going to be giving it for the both of us. So our goal is we want every university to participate in cyber competitions. We're going to help you help us reach that goal, and we're going to introduce a few ways that you can gain some knowledge. And we have a tool that's going to help you get started, and we're going to tell you how to use it and how to contribute to it and what it can do for you. So the first time I gave...
I'm sort of moving the mic a little closer. If you choke on the mic a little bit, it's
Am I too low? Is that
not
better?
loud enough.
Oh, not loud enough?
But I'm not sure how to adjust it.
Is that good? Can you guys hear me? Is it too low? Good? All right.
Sorry, thank you.
All good. Right, so I'm going to show you how to create a successful university cyber defense program, I think, right? So real quick, the who am I slide that everyone has. My name's Mike. I'm a student at Stevens. I live in Hoboken, New Jersey, right? Right by New York City. I work in New York City at ISAC Partners. If anyone's ever heard of it, it's a consultancy. I'm a security consultant there. I lead the Stevens Cyber Defense team, and that's my Twitter, right? I just got into the Twitter game not that long ago, so be sure to follow me, right? So the outline is, first I'm going to talk about how to get educated. So I gave the talk at DEF CON, and it was really like, I gave the talk and it was a lot about, like, once you start competing, what do you get out of that? What can you do once you've competed? And a lot of people in the questions room were asking, like, all right, I have a whole bunch of friends at my school. How are we going to get educated? Like, how do we do this? How do we get to that level where we can compete? So I added that in to the slideshow. So hopefully that helps you out. How to start competing once you are educated. So why you should compete in cyber competitions, what you can do with cyber competitions, what you should look for when you're doing, what you can really get out of it. How to compete effectively and collaboratively. So me and two of my friends wrote some software. So if anyone's ever heard of AppJet's Etherpad, it's what Google Docs is based off of. So we took that engine and we edited it, and I'll show you all that later. And we created like a CTF machine to help you compete in CTFs. And then once we've outlined the problem and the solution, where do you go from there, right? So once you know how you can get to that point, once you know what you should be looking for, and once I give you the software to help you do that, where do we move forward from there? So let's outline the problem, right? Universities try to teach you how to be hackers, and everyone in academia knows this, and all students know this. You're not going to learn how to hack in like automata and computation or theoretical computer science. And those are really important, but like if you want to be a consultant, you want to be a pen tester, you want to compete in CTFs, you're not really going to learn it that much in that class. Now, a lot of schools offer information assurance classes, but most of the times in those classes, they're so high level, and a lot of times instructors have never really been in the industry, or they're really, I know at my school, they're all from Bell Labs, and all they know about is like cryptography, and that's all they care about. So we don't get to learn any of those really cool things that we could use in CTFs or anything, so that's a big problem, right? And not all universities have a cyber lab, and the ones that do, since there's no like standard and there's no like great documentation on that, most schools are just rolling their own. And fear, right? So a lot of kids are afraid to compete in cyber competitions because they're afraid of getting owned, which is legitimate. So about that problem, school doesn't teach you much practical knowledge, blah, blah, blah. You need an outlet for practical learning. Like, you've all heard that before. I'm not telling you anything new or revolutionary. So you want to learn things in school and gain practical knowledge. That's what a lot of people's complaints are, especially people that come to conferences like these. So there's a few solutions, right? So the first one is students teaching each other. So this is student-run cyber defense education groups, which is what we have at Stevens. And what it is students run the classes and teach each other. They're really informal. And it basically consists of a student, it's been me for the past couple years at Stevens, so I'll get, so for example, like if I want to teach about web hacking, so I'm primarily an application penetration tester, so that's not that difficult. So I'll get up there and I'll prepare slides, and then I'll have like 40 or 50 students from the school come, and I'll teach them, and it's fun, and we all learn a lot, and it's really cool. So all you need is really motivated students. So you need a motivated student or students to be the ones teaching the lessons, and you need motivated students to be able to put that time in outside of classes, right? You don't really need infrastructure, you don't really need money. If you're crafty, you can get by using VMs and MSDNAA accounts, the Academic Alliance ones. Those are free. Everyone in school probably knows about those. They're really sweet. So you don't really need much out of it. What you get out of it is it's not that hard to get going, and it gives students a chance to like be really motivated and take initiative and really show that they're really earnest in learning and all that. What you don't get out of it is that a lot of times, a lot of schools like want to start learning about exploitation, right? But a lot of times students don't know about exploitation, and it's really difficult. And not all of us live in New York where there's all your Dino Dizovis and Charlie Millers around. So it gets pretty difficult, and it has the ability to die out fairly quickly. So if you compete in competition and you get owned, it can be really demotivating. So now the next thing you can do, probably the better solution, is to enlist help from professionals, right? So there's a few really good information security classes that exist. And luckily for everyone else, arguably the best one keeps all its course material really public and open. And that's, so does anyone here know Dan Guido? Is anyone here? Awesome. So Dan Guido is a really cool guy. I don't want this to seem like a pitch because I work at ISEC Partners. I just started there like a month ago. So all this research was done before I started working there. But he's a senior consultant at ISEC. He graduated NYU Poly a few years ago, and he teaches the pen testing and vulnerability assessment class at NYU. And what it does is, and what's really unique to that class, is it covers the entire life cycle. So he starts out with how to identify vulnerabilities and everything from web applications, binaries, source code, and goes through all the steps on how to exploit them. And he has a ton of guest speakers come in, and I'll get to them more later. So what you need for that is basically, the website for that class is pentest.cryptocity.net, and it's already there for you. He has all his classes and all his videos and all his material and all his hands out. They're all up there, so if anyone wants to copy that down. I'll post these slides somewhere. I'll tell you where later. So you don't have to, there's gonna be more links later, so you don't have to worry about copying them down too feverishly. So what you get out of it is lecture videos and materials from some of the brightest people in the industry, right? So he has people like Dino Dizovi, Alex Soderov teaching like exploitation reversing, Aaron Portnoy, doctorate of ZDI, teaching reversing, Joe Hemler from GDS Security, teaching web hacking. He's had Erica Betis, Dean DeBeer, like all these huge people like teaching these classes for these kids. And it's a really great opportunity. If you're in New York, he doesn't mind people stopping by. And he posts all that on his website. So he doesn't use like Moodle or eLearn or any of those pieces of software. Everything's open, everything's free. What you don't get out of it is basically the only thing you don't get out of it is that it sucks that you can't actually be there. Because I've been to a ton of them even though I don't go there, and like it's a really great place. So I put some links here, so when I send this out, you can copy those. So he has really great links for careers. So if you're a student interested in information security, he outlines like 5 areas of which you could work. CTFs, which is an awesome link, which he has a ton of videos and information on CTFs. The outline of the course, I was gonna list like all the actual links to each part of the course, but it would have took up too much space. So if you go to the syllabus, you can see all the different areas that he focuses in the course. And he has a forum, he has his own Reddit for the class, and his Twitter where he puts updates. So if you want to go ahead and follow that, you can get some good information out of that. So now I'm going to assume that you're going to take that information, go back to your school, use that, propagate that knowledge, and now you know things, right? So now you're a genius. So you've learned all about information security. Why don't you, so now you're going to go and do it. So you have a few options, but I'd say your best option is to participate in cyber competitions. So why do you want to participate in cyber competitions? They're a practical outlet for your real world knowledge, and they help you assess your current skills and help you realize what skills you need to work on more. But if you never participated in competitions before, they can be pretty difficult. And you start off thinking you're a big dog, and then you get pwned by a little cat. So why do we care that competitions are hard? Or better yet, why is it important that competitions are hard? Remember our goal, we want all students to participate. So competitions introduce students to critical thinking, right? So we want to start using competitions to augment assessment. So competitions, just a quick show of hands, how many people in this room have competed in a CTF? Right, so a good amount of you. So like you can learn a lot from a CTF, and if you have a class on like exploitation, and then at the end of the semester your professor gives you an exploitation CTF, it's a really good application of your knowledge to see how much you actually learn. So I think, or we all think, that using competitions to augment assessment is a really solid way to get through to that. And you can also evaluate your curricula with competition. So if you want to see if a class is really effective and see if it's really working, give all the students in that a competition as opposed to not. It's a really good way for studies to go about, right? But competitions are still hard. So how do you make competitions less hard? So you can standardize challenge scoring, right? So instead of barking for reform of the education system, let's look at the situation. Now, we already have really awesome cyber competitions, so let's instrument them and do this ourselves. So standardized challenge scoring, such that you have a standard way of scoring challenges based on how difficult they are. So a lot of different competitions, a lot of different CTFs. I was just talking to some guys that did the DerbyCon CTF, and they were talking about, like, they were really upset that someone solved their challenge because they made it as difficult as they can. And that's not really the point of CTFs, right? The point of CTFs is for you to get a challenge, figure out how to do it, instrument your exploit, and really take something from both the vulnerability analysis and the exploitation of it. It's not to make whoever wrote the competition look super elite and super awesome. It's for you to actually learn something. So how do we get to that point? So we can make a tiered structure to competition. So almost like, if anyone's familiar with NCAA sports, like there's your D3, D2, D1, you can almost make this like an actual collegiate sport, right? So have cyber defense and cyber attacking be an actual collegiate sport, and really use that. Sorry, I was thirsty. Really use that to augment your assessment, which is pretty cool. But the main thing you can do to make competitions less hard is you can practice, right? So one thing we have to do is standardize and systemize our practice. So we need a set way and a set thing to look for when we're practicing. So the first thing you have to look for is you want to remove a fear of the unknown. So you're going to go into a CTF, and the point of a CTF is that you're not aware of what's going to happen, and you're not really sure. So you have to be prepared to redefine your objective, right? You have to be in it to learn, not just to win. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't really take out of CTFs that I really feel like you should. You play a CTF to win, yeah, but you play it to learn and get a lot out of the challenges, like I said before. So you want to change your motivation in order to change your outcome. So standardize and systemize, right? So you want to build competition goals. You want to highlight collaboration. Like, these are all things that your outcome should be when you're participating in a competition. So you want to build your goals beforehand. You want to highlight collaboration. So CTFs are all about working together and getting things done as a team. You want to track your progress in inter-team development and compare your results from competition to competition. Now, that's all good and great, but is there a tool to help? So can anyone think of a tool that you can use to help collaboration and participation in CTFs? Excuse me? Armitage. You're right. Okay, you can use Armitage. Anything else? So now I'm talking like, if me and you are working on a challenge together, how can we remotely collaborate on that? Excuse me? Skype? Okay, Skype, so we can talk to each other, but what about, how do we share our work? Well, I guess we can share our desktops, but right, so there's a few. There's Breadmine and MediaWiki, and those are kind of slow, and there's a lot of syntax overhead and versioning conflicts. Right, so there's Google Docs, which is pretty good, but a little feature lacking, right? So that's really good for sharing text and all that, and if you wrote some tools or utilities or scripts, or you reverse engineered something, you can toss it in Google Docs. But they're all pretty good, but they're all lacking a little bit, right? So Google Docs isn't perfect. It doesn't give you everything you could want when going through a CTF. So like good computer scientists, what did we do when we couldn't find a solution? We made our own. So enter RTFN, Rock the Flag Network. So what it does is it's a software-hardware collaboration, tracking, storage, etc. solution, and it organizes pre- and post-competition data. So let's say it's like the third year that you've competed in a competition. every year you've gone through it, you've learned a little more, right? So everyone really competes in like ICTF and Seesaws, CTF. So every year going into it, you know a little bit about what the competition is going to be about. And if you're using RTFN for several years, you'll be able to data mine all that information such that when you start to compete in a competition, you'll really have a good idea about what to expect and what to get out of it. And it's also really good for new people coming in, because you can say, hey, if you're not sure if you want to compete in this competition, come over, look at what we have, look at what it's been like before, and then you can really assess if this is the competition that you want to start with or compete in. It's got an integrated local repository of tools. So similar to how Backtrack has their whole tool store, the ISO has a lot of stuff like that too, which is really sweet. So I know a lot of times in competitions, like last year there were like 4 consecutive competitions where I needed Pad Buster, and I had to go and download it every time. So I had to go find out where it is, go and download it, and waste all that time doing that when I could have just had it. Also, you have real-time challenge management, which is where we pull AppJet's Etherpad from. So we've edited AppJet's Etherpad to have like a nice challenge dashboard that really shows you like color-coded ways of who's working on what's not being worked on, what's the status of different challenges. So that's really cool. I'll show you that later. Reporting and trending, which I have some graphs on here that I'll show you. And that's really cool. So you can see how you do over time, what different things you work with over time, and all that. So it's pretty cool. And it also enables involvement, right? So how many times have you competed in a CTF for like 48 hours and you all kind of just sat in one room? Like, it happens all the time. I know I've done it a ton of times before. And it's really tough because a lot of times, like especially if you have a big campus, certain people like want to go back to their rooms, or it's getting really late, or you want to go back to your room and like you're about to go back to bed and you want to work on some stuff, or you can't always make it to the same place. Or especially, I know that now that a lot of my friends graduated, I have a little CTF team that competes in a bunch of things, and we're all over the country. So there's some of us in Delaware, I'm in New York, some of us are in New Mexico, some of us are in California. So this enables us to really work on something as if we were all there with each other, with the help of like Skype and other like Ventrio and other voice stuff. So I made a little, everyone loves flowcharts, right? So I made a little flowchart. Awesome, I love that thing. So it shows your input to RTFN is the challenges, the tools, the dates and deadlines, and obviously you. And on the bottom, you have all the things that RTFN gives you. And your output is what you get is campus involvement. You're able to identify your weaknesses. You can trend your challenges, and you can prepare more effectively. So to look at identifying weaknesses, you can look at, so I have a graph, right? So if you look at time 1, it shows that it's taking you about between like 90 minutes and 120 minutes. So it's about an hour and 45 minutes to compete web challenges. And then when you go to time 2, you drastically drop. So what changed in that point? So you have all those challenges, and then you dramatically drop your time to participate those. So you can diff all your tags. So when you do a challenge, you tag it with the tools you use, with who does it, etc. And so you can do tags 1 null, and tags 2 you use burp. So when you use burp proxy, you really get a lot more out of it, and your times drop. So that's pretty sweet. So for this one, if you look at time 1 over here, minutes to solve binary analysis, you're doing it pretty consistently at around a half an hour. And then at time 2, you jump up to almost an hour and a half. And then back at time 3, you go down. So what was the difference between that? So you have your editor, when Nick was doing your binary analysis challenges, you were solving pretty consistently in about a half an hour. And then once Bob comes in, it shoots up. So you know Bob sucks, and you need to keep using Nick. So now I have a bit of a demo that I'm going to show you guys, which is pretty cool. So we have an instance of, we actually competed in a competition yesterday that I didn't get to compete in. So I'm going to show you some stuff from that. So you log in, and so I'm gonna check out this one, which is a competition we did last week. So this is your dashboard. So you can create a new challenge. You have all the challenges you created already. Then you have all your solved ones down here. You can, I don't know if you can see the colors that well on that screen, but like these are kind of like a yellowish, and these are green. So you can click into like this one is a reverse engineering one. So these are just notes. If anyone else is in there, you can chat. and send them something, and it tells you all the users that are in there. You can tag that as solved or hard. And when you go back, it'll stay that way, right? Oh, that was the one we were just in. So that's pretty cool. So you can have all these, so you can log these and you can keep these there. So yesterday we competed in our WTH-CTF. So we have all, like you can create one for your information, you can have a ton of stuff there, and you can have all your data. That's a good looking guy. So if you're writing code or anything, you can paste it in here. All your team information, all your challenges. So instead of working on Google Docs, so the reason why we have this is because a lot of times like you do all your work in a CTF in like a notepad file, and like what happens with a notepad file when you go to sleep, someone else starts working on the competition and they start from scratch because they don't have your files, they don't have your information. So really, if you encourage everyone to work in Etherpad, it really helps for that, and it really helps. So I can tag that, so you'll see like Ted and Dan M were working on that one, Ted was working on that one, and you can tag competitions as you own them. So I know when I look at that challenge dashboard, when I walk into a competition room, I know who's working on what, and I know what's not being worked on. So if there was a competition that wasn't owned by anyone, then I would know, okay, like this needs to be worked on, and I would hop on that. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of questions out of actually effectively participating in them, right? So that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna go back to here, right? So now you can implement it in a bunch of different ways. So this is something that I made a few months ago, and I bought like a big aluminum box from like Home Depot, and I cut a bunch of holes in it, and I made ports in it, and I don't know if you can really see it that much. On the side, on the left side there's like ports. One's blue and one's red. The red one doesn't do anything, but it just looks cool. And there's like a switch in there, there's a hard drive, and there's like a little mini computer. And basically we can carry that around to a lot of CTFs because a lot of them are on site, right? So the finals of NYU Poly's Seesaw CTF is in New York. So we can bring that with us and connect to that. We can use that, if we can't like have a remote connection out, we can bring that with us. So this isn't like how you have to implement it, but it's just a way you can, showing like it's really lightweight, it's really versatile. So you can do a bunch of really cool stuff with it. So why might RTFN make a difference? So it enables team collaboration, which is cool. It's a tool for extracting metrics from competition. So one of the most important things about CTFs is what you get out of them. And you can get as much as you want out of them, but if you're not logging that data and looking at how you're improving, you're really not getting anything out of it in the long run. So you can compare student performance with and without RTFN and see how you improved and see like what your data score looks like over time. So if you want to know more, we wrote a white paper called RTFN Enabling blah, 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 and that's published. You can Google that. You can email me for that, and I'll send it to you. It's like a 7 or 8 page white paper about RTFN and all the components that go into it, and it's way more detailed about that. If you want to know where you can get it, there's a beta version of the software at rocktheflag.net. And you can go there and it redirects to our SourceForge and you can go and download it. So that's the Etherpad only. So you can get that and you can install it. And as far as what's coming soon, we're going to be releasing the ISO soon, and that'll have everything integrated and it'll be totally headless. So you can go and just stand that up on a server and it'll have like a bunch of cool stuff for you guys to mess around with. And we're going to start helping other schools run CTFs too. So if you need advice on what to put into your CTF, what are you trying to get out of it? If you need help writing challenges or anything, you can shoot us an email and we'll help you out with that. And so what can you do to help? So the most important thing you can do to help us is to use it and give us feedback. So if you use it and you see something you don't like, see something that you think you would need. So now this year for the first time, for example, most of my team is spread across the country. So we realized we really need a better solution for talking to each other. So Skype's not really cutting it. So we need to like roll our own like voice chat solution into this. So that's something that we realized because that was a new constraint put on us. So if you can, if you use it and you see anything like that, let us know. If you want to contribute ideas, awesome. If you want to contribute code, even better. So you can go and check that out and contribute whatever you want to it. So what should you take away from this? So all students should be participating in competitions, and competitions can augment university curricula. So for the people in academia, if you want to start instrumenting competitions into your classes, it's a really effective way to see like what your students are actually learning and how effective your teaching actually is. Now, if you don't agree with us, you can still use RTFN for playing current cyber competitions or remote red teaming. So we talked to a few people from CCDC who were on the red team, and we presented this in Vegas like 3 months ago, and they came up to us and they were like, hey, like, this isn't only useful for CTFs. As red teamers for competitions, we also need something like this. So if you want to, instead of creating like a challenge pad thing for like a challenge, you can do, okay, I own these teams with this exploit, like log that, and creates like really, you can use that for red teaming too, and it's all open source, so you can just go edit whatever you want to it if you want to make it look different or act different. So I went through that really quickly. So does anyone have any questions? Or anything I like blew over through quickly? Yeah? So absolutely. So let me just go back a little bit. So if you go to pentest.cryptocity.net, that's the link to Dan Guido's class. He teaches the class at Poly on penetration testing and vulnerability assessment. So if you go there, I put up a few links. So if you go to the syllabus of that, it's a lot of you get a lot of really cool links. You can watch all his videos. So he basically takes you, when you walk into that class, you need a knowledge of like a scripting language and hopefully some x86. And he starts from there and goes from source code analysis, exploitation, web hacking, reverse engineering, source code auditing. So if you don't know anything and that's what you need a place to learn, that's a really cool place to go. So you can check that out. And yeah, I'd say that's right now, out of all the research I've done looking for places to like show links and share links and stuff, that's the best place you can go to for that. Yes?
That CTF there, does that have CTF ISOs that you can load up onto a VM, or is that just information about?
That's information about CTFs right there. If you're looking for CTF ISOs and stuff like that, email me or talk to me after, and I'll talk to you about like where you can find like vulnerable ISOs and stuff like that, and stuff to hack at. And there's if you go to the / capture the flag, you can find a calendar, and it has a calendar of CTFs across the country. So there's always CTFs going on, so you can just hop on one of those. There's one like every week. Anything else? Yeah? Oh, it is us@rocktheflag.net. So it's supposed to be like contact us, right? Get it? Pretty soon. Right. So I do the same thing. So I run like study classes, and like I teach a class at my school about that for students. It's a no credit class. It's just like an after school thing as a part of our like cyber defense organization. And that is a really hard thing to deal with, trying to motivate people where they don't just want to be taught, they want to like actively contribute. And a lot of them just don't know enough to actively contribute yet. And I'd say the best thing you can do is if you're someone that they look up to as like a source of their knowledge, and you really want to propagate education in your school and you feel like it's not there, just continue to like educate them about that mindset and continue to show them that like this is something collaborative and it's not something that like I can just show you everything about, like it's a give and take type thing. And all you can really do is continue to press that. There's no like magical formula now. Anyone else? Cool things? Yeah, like of course. The reason why like we don't do that is because in order for us to distribute that, we'd have to obviously distribute like the same SSL certificate, which isn't that great of an idea. So yeah, if you want to like if you want to take it down and then download the code and put it up and then have it run over SSL, like yeah, sure. There's no restrictions or anything.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. I wondered if it would break anything.
No, absolutely not.
Good target otherwise.
Right, absolutely. But yeah, no, it's pretty solid. Yeah, but like we're not gonna like include as like SSL certificates or anything, because that would just be silly. Anyone else?
You kind of mentioned this before about the ISOs, but is there a list of, or it's like typical, vulnerabilities or challenges, I guess one for CTF challenges?
Oh, you want like a store of challenges?
Yeah.
So that seems to be pretty common. So I guess email me. So everyone that's interested in that, email me at this link, and I'll send you all like a list of challenges. And there's a ton of I know like Google has their own vulnerable web application. There's a ton of other, there's a ton of applications that you can use that are vulnerable, that old CTF challenges that you can look at. So yeah, just email me and I'll send you a link of those, and I'll add a slide or something when I post these about that. Oh yeah, so there's related file uploading. So another really important part of RTFN is a lot of times if you're competing in a capture the flag competition that's in Russia, say like the RUCTF, and you have to download a binary, it takes a long time to download because it's so far away and they might not have the best infrastructure. So it doesn't pay for everyone that wants to participate in that challenge to download it. So you can do related file uploading in Etherpad. So you can, if you have like a Nessus scan, or you have a binary, or you have a bunch of files that you want to upload that are related to the challenge, you can upload those in Etherpad. Does it parse and display it? No, right now, no. I mean, if that's something that you think would be useful, then yeah, we can look into it. But yeah, we're on SourceForge. Yeah, so if you want to download that and you think you have a good idea and you want to instrument it yourself, be my guest. Absolutely. Yeah, so a big part of this is collaboration, right? So CTFs propagate collaboration, and it's not just we're the only ones that participate in CTFs. So if you guys ever have any ideas, I'm sure a bunch of you guys have better ideas than us. I know I'm not really that creative. So if you have any cool ideas and you want to instrument them in the software, then awesome. That'd be sweet. Or if you don't have time, email us and hopefully we'll have time. It's all PHP and JavaScript. Yeah, so it's not like Nessus where it's all Flash or anything. We're super secure. Yeah.
So pretty much everything that you're talking about is related to CTFs and exploitations. I was on the CSPC team, one of the Northeast here, and I found it was almost a nightmare. No one really knew anything about securing systems. Is there anything that you've implemented that would be useful in basically just, I guess, listing all commonly fixable vulnerabilities?
Commonly, I mean, you can go to MITRE and look at CVEs, but as far as if you're looking for links on system administration, I can look through those with you. You competed in Northeastern CCDC?
Yeah.
Last year?
Yeah.
What team were you?
Northeastern.
Right, I was on the Stevens team.
Yeah, I recognize you.
But yeah, I mean, especially competitions like CCDC, walking into CCDC is walking off a cliff while your pants are on backwards and you're on fire. There's nothing you can really do to prepare for that except just know the systems that you're supposed to defend. So just knowing what should be there and what shouldn't be there is the best you can do. And just know what you're doing, I guess. Anyone? All right, sweet. So that went faster than I thought it'd do. Sorry. Now you can all go grab a sweet cup of coffee. And if you have any questions, I'll be around here for the rest of the afternoon. Feel free to ask me any questions. Yeah, sure. I have a plane at 4, so I'll be around until like 2:30.